I've been chomping at the bit to talk to you tonight, and there's so many issues I'd like to raise, but I'm going to stick with what I have, and I pray that you just let me get through this. I'm not used to speaking before the Senate. Good evening, Senators, and thank you for listening for my plea before you today. I would personally like to thank Senator Fogerty for standing up for his constituents by introducing this bill. My name is Ava Woods, and I reside at 300 Only Keach Trail in Pasco, Rhode Island. I'm proud to say that I was born and raised in Barville, and I'm a seventh-generation Barvillian. I want to tell you my story and why I feel Bill S-3037 should be passed. Back in the 80s, Ocean State Power proposed a power plant in my backyard on West Ironstone Road in Harrisville, Rhode Island. My husband and I had a young family at that time and were alarmed and took up the cause along with a few of our neighbors to try and put a stop to the decimation of our lives and property. We pleaded with our town council and saw them as our only means of protection against this company, and we were powerless against such a giant, and the power plant went through. That was power plant number 1. We had no voice at that time. We were devastated, but were unsure of what to do next. We're nature lovers and moved to this remote spot in Harrisville for the enjoyment of its natural habitat and its close proximity to walking trails through the woods. As a family, one of our pastimes is stargazing. One evening, I put my 3 young boys to bed early in order to wake them up at midnight to watch the shooting stars. We woke them up and went outside only to find that the lights from Ocean State blocked out the night sky. This was the last straw, and we decided to move. I told my husband to look for land where this could never happen to us again. He literally pored over the maps of Barville, searching for the perfect piece of property. He found a piece of property in the middle of George Washington State Park, on the Barville side, surrounded by thousands of acres of woods, lakes, ponds, walking trails, and teeming with wildlife and exotic plant life. It was not for sale, but we sought the property owner and were successful in purchasing 48 acres of land with a 2-acre pond in Pasco in our forever home. About 3 years ago, we started to hear a low hum that eventually got louder. My husband awoke one night to the sound, and he jumped in his truck to search the property and surrounding area for the noise, but could not locate the source. We took many excursions together, trying to find the origin of this noise, but were unsuccessful. After a year or so, we were informed that a new power plant was being proposed approximately a quarter of a mile from my front yard. What we had been hearing was the expansion of Phase 1 of Algonquin in preparation for a proposed power plant. I remind you, I've lived in Barville all my life, and I have never heard Algonquin before. I had friends that lived there, and being at their home, we never heard the power plant. I also want to mention that this is just Phase 1 of 3 phases that are going on. That's why the EPA has yet to be brought into the project. Once the project is combined, then EPA will have will be allowed to come in, but they will already have had their started building at that point. You cannot imagine our shock and dismay over this situation. Now our grandchildren's lives are at stake. Another generation of nature lovers and stargazers. Another power plant in Barville, in my front yard. How could this happen? How can one town have 2 power plants in it? We thought for sure that there had to be some regulation for having 2 power plants in the same town, and this time we had to find a voice. A couple of grassroots organizations began to develop, and we joined trying to stop this from happening to us again and to find a voice against this Goliath. We attended every town council meeting, planning board, and zoning board meeting, and were told by our town council that we were powerless, and they then told us to contact our senator and representative for help. You cannot imagine how frustrated we are to learn that the very town council that told us to seek our representative and senator's help has now come out against the very piece of legislation that they've proposed here today. We met with Representative Keeble and Senator Fogerty to express our concerns, and after hearing that the people of Barville specifically had no voice, they drafted this piece of legislation which is before you today. I strongly urge you to support this bill that will impact our lives and the lives of our families and neighbors in Barville. Give us a say before a panel of 7 siting board members, an opportunity to vote on the tax treaty that should rightfully come before the town of Barville. Thank you for your time, and I pray you will help us to regain what should lawfully be our vote.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments for this witness?